When I first saw this painting, I couldn't stop thinking, how is it possible that such a strange, unsettling work remained unnoticed for more than a century? As I researched it, I found that it isn't in any museum, nor does it appear in the most common art books. And like many of the paintings we explore on this channel, it's hidden away in a private collection. It's one of those pieces that, when you discover it, feels like stumbling upon a secret. But here's the interesting part. The artist who painted it was not just any artist. Léon Spilliaert was a young Belgian, only 18 years old when he created it. An artist who lived in constant insomnia, obsessed with Nietzsche and Poe, and who painted nocturnal visions as if they were mirrors of his own mind. That strange combination of youth, illness, and obsession produced images so unusual they seem ahead of their time. But the question we all ask is, what does this painting really mean? Is it a pagan ritual, an innocent game, or the projection of a tormented artist? Before diving into all the mystery, it's worth pausing for a moment on the basics. The title of the painting is Faun by Moonlight, and Léon Spilliaert painted it in 1900 when he was just 18 or 19 years old. And here's the thing, this isn't one of those massive oil paintings that dominate a museum hall. Spilliaert worked with far more modest, but also more intimate materials. He used diluted India ink, black crayon, and colored pencils on paper. The result is something between a drawing and a painting, a hybrid that perfectly reflects the experimental spirit with which Spilliaert began his career. As for its size, it's surprisingly modest. It measures only 49 by 63 centimeters. In other words, if you had it in front of you, it wouldn't take up more space than a large desk sheet. And yet, within those reduced dimensions, an entire strange universe unfolds. And here's the curious part. You can't just walk into a museum and come across it. Faun by Moonlight is kept in a private collection. That means very few people have ever seen it in person. It has appeared in temporary exhibitions such as the Royal Academy Retrospective in London in 2020 or at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris the following year, but outside those occasions, it vanishes again from the public eye. If we look closely at what Spilliaert created, the first thing that stands out is the composition. At the center we find a faun, a half-man, half-goat creature from mythology, playing his flutes. But he isn't alone. He is accompanied by a herd of goats that follow him in silence, as if enchanted by his music. Above them, the full moon dominates the sky, bathing the scene in a cold, pale light. Everything is arranged in such a way that the viewer's gaze moves from the lunar glow down to the faun and finally disappears into the shadows of the goats. Spilliaert chose an almost monochromatic palette. There are no vivid tones, no intense reds or blues, only blacks, greys, and whites with subtle variations. That choice is no coincidence. The stark contrast between the darkness of the field and the light of the moon turns the scene into something almost ghostly. It's as if we were looking at a photographic negative, an inverted vision of the real world. To understand why Spilliaert painted something so strange, we need to travel back to his time. It's the year 1900, right at the turn of the century. All across Europe, there's an air of transition. Science is advancing, cities are growing, but at the same time, there's a deep fascination with dreams, the occult, and the irrational. This is the moment of Symbolism, an artistic and literary movement that rebelled against realism and impressionism. While some painters sought to capture light and everyday life, the symbolists wanted the opposite, to look inward, into the mind, into mystery, and Spilliaert was part of that wave. Look around, and the connections are clear. That same year, Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams, opening the door to a new world where the unconscious became the protagonist. In music, Debussy premiered his prelude à l'après-midi d'un faun, inspired by Mallarmé's poem about a faun dreaming between reality and fantasy. In literature, Edgar Allan Poe was still shaping an entire generation with his dark, melancholic tales, while Nietzsche was challenging traditional morality with his provocative philosophy. Spilliaert absorbed all of this. His Faun Under the Moon is the reflection of an era obsessed with mystery, with symbols, with giving form to the invisible. But while other artists showed fauns as sensual or dreamlike, Spilliaert places his in the night, under a grey sky, accompanied by goats that seem like shadows. In Roman mythology, the faun was a spirit of the forests and fields, associated with fertility and wild nature. Its Greek counterpart is the satyr, companion of the god Dionysus, and both were usually depicted as creatures half man and half goat. They were musicians, players of the pan flute, and embodied both joy and vitality, as well as the most primitive and uncontrolled impulses. That's why, throughout history, fauns have been seen in two ways: as playful, sensual, and mischievous figures, or as dark beings tied to lust and the demonic. And that ambiguity is present in Spilliaert's painting. For some, the faun is a charming guide, playing his music under the moon while playful goats follow him as if hypnotized. It could be read as an innocent, almost pastoral mythological scene. But there's a more unsettling reading. Remember that in Christian tradition, the goat is not a symbol of innocence, but of the opposite. It is linked to sin, the devil, the witch's Sabbath. In that light, what seemed like a nocturnal stroll becomes a strange ritual, a scene brushing against the satanic. The faun, in this context, would be less a simple musician and more the officiant of a dark rite. And then there's the more intimate interpretation, the autobiographical one. Many critics believe the faun is, in fact, a kind of alter ego of the young Spilliaert. Think about it. An 18-year-old boy, insomniac, sickly, obsessed with Poe and Nietzsche. The faun, solitary, playing for goats that look more like specters than animals, could symbolize the artist himself trying to soothe his inner demons, making music, that is, creating art, to give shape to his fears and fantasies. Spilliaert suffered from a chronic ulcer that would follow him throughout his life. That constant pain led to endless nights of insomnia, and those sleepless nights shaped his vision of the world. Instead of resting, he spent hours drawing. His art was, in many ways, a way of inhabiting those early hours when everyone else was asleep. He was also an obsessive reader. He immersed himself in Poe, with his tales of mystery and psychological horror. He admired Nietzsche to the point of copying his portraits and jotting down his quotes. All of this fueled his imagination, a mix of melancholy, radical philosophy, and dark visions. It's no surprise then that his faun under the moon feels like something born of feverish insomnia, from the mind of someone living between reality and nocturnal delirium. But the truth is that Spilliaert never left a clear interpretation of this painting. He never said what he intended to convey. So today, more than a century later, it's up to us to decide what we see there. A mythological play, a disturbing ritual, or the intimate portrait of a young man with his own demons. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. How do you interpret this painting? And on the other hand, if you'd like to see more of this artist's works, in our catalogue you'll find a collection dedicated to him with his best pieces. There you can learn the story behind each painting and purchase the one you like most to add to your home collection. The video you're watching is an example of how you can decorate your home with a work of art and turn it into your own personal museum. Shipping is free worldwide, and by purchasing from the store, you'll be supporting me so I can keep creating videos like this one. I'll leave the link in the description. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.